welcome to the Pretty and Powerful Podcast. I'm Prophetess Ree, and I'm back again with another great episode. Thank you for all of you who have been watching the Pretty and Powerful Podcast and listening to it since we launched on July 7th. Well, this is episode 4, and I have another great discussion for you. I have a very special guest. So if you have teens, if you have daughters, won't you grab them and invite them to watch and listen to this with you? And we are about to see our guest and introduce our guest. Hey, welcome back. And I have a special guest here. This is my daughter, Danielle, aka Danny, and she just turned 14 in April. So I wanted to have her on the podcast just to kind of discuss some of the stuff that's been going on in this country, in the world right now. I know it's a lot to take in for young people. And I know, and I've had discussions with other parents about, how our children dealing with this stuff, how our teenagers dealing with this. So I just want to have this conversation. She and I have had this conversation before, but I want to have it on camera in hopes that maybe some other parents can learn something from something she says or something I say. And also, just so that you also can be encouraged to talk with your kids and communicate with them, because it is a lot to process. I know I'm guilty of, just getting frustrated with them being frustrated with the situation. And so you just got a bunch of frustrated people. So we need to kind of talk about this stuff so that we can understand where they are, and they also can get a better understanding of how to process all that is going on. So Danny, why don't you tell them a little bit about yourself?
Okay, so as you heard, my name is Danny. Basically, when I get older, I want to be a cosmetic chemist. I want to make makeup and sell it and just start my own business, because most businesses you see, it's not all natural. I want things that are good for your face and natural, that you know what's in it, and you're just not wondering, what does that say? Basically, when I get to college, I want to go to TCU, Texas Christian University in Fort Worth, Texas. And I want to study chemistry and major in science. And I want to get my degree and just be able to start my own business.
Awesome. So we were talking a while back just about like the pandemic and everything that's going on. And it's interesting because some kids, they were pulled out of school once coronavirus started, but for us, the school shut down while they were on spring break. So they were already at home and they just kind of never went back. They never went back to school. And so what did you feel when you first found out that you weren't going back to school?
I had mixed feelings, because it's just like, yay, I don't like school. But at the same time, it's just like, dang, because I'm going to 9th grade. This was my last year of middle school. And so we were supposed to do all these fun things, all these fun field trips. And so I'm just like, no, I'll never get to do that. I had my head ready. I was ready to go back to school, to see my friends, and just to do all these different things while doing work. But now it's just that you're at home. You're at home, and if you got siblings, you know how I feel.
Yeah.
Just with your little older siblings around you while you're trying to do your work, it's a pain.
Yeah, it was a pain for me too, Carol, because look, I was not expecting to have to homeschool either. And so trying to monitor 3 different kids, 3 different grades, during that time, just being thrusted into it was not easy. Like, I feel like we were all kind of frustrated, at that time. Y'all were frustrated. I was frustrated. Daddy was frustrated. He had to start working from home. So it kind of had a big toll on all of us. What have your friends been saying about the
My friends we all felt like kind of the same. We were just like, dang, because it was our last year. We're supposed to have fun because high school is when the real work starts. Mm-hmm. It's when they're preparing.
Well, y'all have a lot of work in middle school too.
Yeah, but just that middle school is a little easier than high school, and so we're all disappointed also because whenever on the weekends or during spring break, we go to the park. We go have fun outside like kids are supposed to do. And so it's just like the pandemic, like, nope, stay inside. And so we sit here just like, not what you're supposed to do.
Yeah.
Can't go outside.
Yeah, y'all couldn't even hang out together. So that was tough. But what do you think? How do you think that impacted you just not necessarily just about the fact that, okay, I can't go back to school, but were you aware of what was going on around the rest of the
I
world?
was like, I see other countries on full lockdown. Like, you had to have a permission slip or whatever to show the when the reason you can go, how, like all these other things, and the police had to check, and you had to get
Mhm.
everything checked out. So like countries were on full lockdown. I'm just like, thank goodness that we haven't reached that yet, or
Mhm.
at least we haven't reached that as much as other
Yeah,
countries have.
it
But it's
wasn't that bad.
still like
Yeah.
they were just shut down, and I'm looking, and I'm just like, what is going on? I just like my head mentally is just like my head is like spinning. I'm trying to think of all these other things at the same time. Like while we're in this, you got other countries doing this and this and this and all these other things happening. And so it's just like this just came out of nowhere.
Yeah, it did feel
It
like it
just feel
came
like
out
it
of
just dropped
nowhere.
out of the sky like
Yeah.
Corona.
Yeah, it started in China in January, and by March, it was spreading everywhere else. So I'm glad that you're aware of what's going on and that how severe it is. But what if, high school, the beginning of your freshman year has to be online?
None. It's just like, because I'm a freshman. I don't even know my way around the school that much. So, like, having to go back in the middle of the year, not even really going to be able to go to fish camp and learn my way around the school, I'm just going to be stuck. And so, I'm also, like, trying to get my mind, like, ready for high school because I know while we're still at home, we're still eventually going to go back to school. And so I'm still gonna like while I'm at home with less people, I'm gonna have to be around all these other people that I don't even know. Like, and then you have to find your way around the school. It just feels like you're a fish in a whole bunch of sharks. And so it's just like you I just lost my train of thought. But it's hard, but at the same time you gotta push through it, you gotta work through it. And eventually all of this will be over and everything will be back to normal.
Well, what is normal though? Will it really be back to normal?
There's gonna
And
be a lot of things
I
that
think that's
change.
the biggest thing we have to accept is that is not we have to create a new normal. Things are not just going to cease and then we go back to how things were before coronavirus, because a situation like this, it kind of changes your whole way of life, right? You think differently now because even as the cases decrease and the spread slows down, there will still be individuals who have it. So we may have to have masks on for a long time. We may be more cautious for a while. We won't be able to have crowded events and crowded schools immediately. It really creates a new normal. And I think that's something that's important for us to communicate to our children because it helps them to mentally begin to adjust to the permanent changes that can come from this. We can't say, oh, things are going to go back to normal as soon as these cases decrease, but we have to understand that there is a new normal being created. And studies show that kids love routine. They love things that they can predict. And we're in a season that's very unpredictable, and we're going into a new season that is completely different. And so one of the ways that you can help your kids cope with the stress is helping them to understand things will not go back to exactly how they were before, but we'll be okay. We're going to learn some new ways to live. We're going to learn some new ways to be around other people. We're going to be more cautious for a while until all of this completely goes. And so we're dealing with the pandemic. We're dealing in the midst of all we're going through this year. Then we have the news about George Floyd. When that first happened, I really didn't even want to tell you. I didn't want to talk to you about it because the video was so gruesome to me. I mean, you're watching murder take place on TV. And I don't even really let y'all watch movies and shows with a lot of murder, but to see something like that happening in real life and happening by law enforcement. But I knew that we were going to have this conversation because you have your cell phone, you on social media. So what were you thinking when you first saw the video of George Floyd being killed?
It was honestly because everything was just fine. I mean, you just see this pop up everywhere. George Floyd's death. George Floyd's death. And I'm looking at this like, oh my goodness, what? Like, cause it just hurt me, especially because he had a whole family, and it's just that it was over something not even that big. He had a whole family, and now his life was just taken like that.
Yeah.
And it's just like, I thought police were supposed to protect us, and it's just that police were supposed to keep us safe, and then the police is the one who killed this man over something that wasn't even that big. It was no murder, no nothing. The police murdered the man, and then the police wasn't even like, he wasn't even sent to jail. He wasn't accused of what he did. And so that's what made the whole community angry. It's just that he murdered a dude, but yet he didn't get the blame for it.
He's in jail.
Now, after people...
But you feel like it should have happened immediately.
Yeah, after people rioted about it, and after people protested and signed papers about it, then now they put him in jail. Because they were, oh Lord, people are actually making a big deal over it. Because it's a big deal. This man was murdered. And so now he's in jail, but still, there's more people out there being murdered by police. And that we got to step up and do something about it. That's why you see Black Lives Matters and all these rioting today.
How do you feel about the rioting? Do you feel like rioting is, I mean, protesting, we understand that that's good, but what do you feel about the rioting?
I feel like the reason people riot is because they're not heard. We tried doing the simple route. We tried taking the high road. But once you just don't listen, that's when we got to strike hard. That's when we got to, here, listen up. This is the deal. We finna do it our way if you ain't gonna listen. We finna just start doing it our way. And then it's just that some people just don't understand that white privilege is a thing. Because you know good and well, if George Floyd was white, this wouldn't happen.
So that's an interesting comment, you know, from a 14-year-old. We know that as adults, but you're a Black teenager who's raised in the suburbs. She's been in the suburbs her entire life, which means that she has been around different races. She has friends that are white. She has friends that are Hispanic. She has friends that are Black. So how did that make you feel as far as your circle and all that you've known from those that you've grown up around who are of another race? How did seeing this, because I know that seeing this really was it shook you and kind of gave you a wake-up call about just how serious racism is. So now what are you going to do moving forward?
I'm not going to say every white person is a racist, because they're not. There's many white people who know this is wrong and who are on our side. But at the same time, I'm just going to start looking at people more carefully, looking at their personality more carefully, looking at what they say more carefully. Because you are going to have those racists in your life. You're going to have those people that just keep saying that one thing that makes you want to smack the mess out of them.
Oh, Lord.
But,
that's your daddy in you right there.
But, you know, you got to keep it cool. You got to listen. And then you got to, how you say, you got to speak in a way that they'll understand without being violent. Because Black people are automatically, if you raise your voice, you see, why are you being so ghetto? Why are you being so good?
You've experienced that before?
Yes, I have many times where these dudes talking about some gang, we on the gang, slam. I was like, oh my goodness. I was like, please don't do that, because
you said these dudes. What dudes?
White dudes. Dudes talking about some gang, split. Yeah, you know, we fighting gang, blood, crit, gang.
Oh no.
I'll be like,
no, but you said when you're Black and you raise your voice, people say, why are you being so ghetto?
Yes, because apparently if I raise my voice and say, hey, that ain't it. Why are you being so ghetto? Why are you being so hood? You need to stop acting like that. Oh my gosh. Why you talk so white? Why you do this? Why you do that? And I ain't even talking white. Oh, so just talking like a normal person is talking white?
That's a conversation that I've heard many times. I remember when I was younger, we would have friends come over and they would say about Mimi, they were like, your mom talks white. And I remember your Uncle Carlos and I saying, what is talking white? What is that? Like, are you trying to associate Black Black communication with improper English and white language is proper language, so anything where I am pronouncing the word from beginning to end, I don't drop off the G. I say we're going to the store. Not going.
Going.
If I say going, that's black. If I say going, that's white. And I say that's kind of an issue we have even in our own community of claiming negative things as Black people, claiming improper English and saying that is a cultural thing, claiming a certain behavior, a negative behavior, and saying that's Black behavior. And even if people label us that way, we shouldn't own it. We should clarify that's not speaking Black, is not, using broken English. It's just using broken English. Speaking properly is speaking properly. It doesn't have a color, it doesn't have a race associated with it. And so I think that's great that you recognize that and you said, hey, hold up now. What is that supposed to mean? And so have you ever had any, I guess, uncomfortable moments growing up when it comes to race?
Mm-hmm. It's just because when you're little, everybody's your friend. We all friends.
I remember having that talk with you.
Yeah.
I said, everybody ain't always going to be a friend.
Yes, you're just like, when you're little, you have to make me realize, Danielle, you're not like every other kid. You're Black. You see, they're lighter than you. And you have to give me this whole talk about everything, police, everything. And it's just that, I realized too, it's just that whenever you look at school, even like, it can be segregated sometimes in schools, like, because you feel more comfortable around your own people.
So you're saying that school is segregated, but it's like a willful segregation, intentional. Explain that.
So, I mean, people like segregate themselves to their own groups. You will have those couple groups where the people are mixed, like my friend group, but you will have groups where Black people are here, Hispanics over here, white people over here. Even though segregation is gone, it's just that everybody feels more comfortable around their own race. And so you'll see everybody all segregated, even in the classroom sometimes.
Oh, why do you think that is?
Because if you have a white person talking about some things, trying to relate to a Black person, they're not going to be able to relate the same way a Black person is going to be able to Black person, white person to a white person. If a white person complained about one thing and like, about that, right? And then it's like, no. Like, we do have problems that white people don't have to deal with because of white privilege. But at the same time, I feel like you may not be able to relate, but you still shouldn't just keep yourself to your own race.
So how do you deal with that then?
I have many friends that are, my friends are diverse. I like to be friends with people who get me. Not just because, I'm Black, I gotta hang out with Black people and act all hood. Oh, I'm white, I gotta hang out with white people and drink Starbucks all the time. Like, and talk about drinking Starbucks all the time. Like, oh my God. And talk about boys all the time. No, I don't like that.
So wait, you said talk about boys all the time. So Black girls talk about boys?
Know, but it's just
that's not a racial thing.
They all have their own things. And it's just that I'm a mix. I like everything, really. And so that's why I like bringing people together than pushing them away. Mm-hmm. Because if you push them away, how's this world going to change? Mm-hmm. This whole movement about Black Lives Matter, but if you ain't willing to accept white people into your life, how are you going to change? You're going to see white people everywhere. They're the minority.
No,
majority.
Yeah.
We're the minority. Mm-hmm. But we're the minority group, so you're going to see white people everywhere. And so you just don't have to accept it. Mm-hmm. You can't just keep yourself to your own place. Like, you be walking down the street, you be seeing people just go, there she go again. Acting all hood. Just because I wear Jordans, that don't mean it's hood. I can wear Jordans one day and then wear Birkenstocks the next day. I can wear boots one day and then wear heels the next day. They think clothes belong to certain races. A girl can wear a skirt and not be considered.
Who is they?
People, society in general. Mm-hmm. They think certain clothes belong to certain races. I can wear everything And that don't mean that, oh my God, she's trying to act white. Oh my God, she's wearing this, she's trying to act white. Oh my God, she straightens her hair, she's trying to be white.
So you feel like that's a lot of pressure that teenagers deal with, is trying to
Dress your race.
Dress your race.
That's what I call it. I call it dressing your race, because you will see in my school, if you just go to my school, you will see people dressing their race. You won't see.
Well, do you feel like they only dress that way because they feel like they're supposed to, or because they like it?
Some people feel like they're supposed to. I've seen people, like my friend, I'm not going to say her name. We're just going to call her Bethany.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just like, do you actually like dressing that way? Because I see her dress certain ways because she's white.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, do you actually like dressing that way? She's like, no. I just feel pressured into dressing that way. Some days I actually do want to wear my Jordans and walk around school in Jordans and sweatpants.
Mm-hmm.
I don't always want to wear my Birkenstocks. And it's like, then why do you? And she's like, I never really thought about it that way. Why do you care so much about what other people say? Honestly. Because it's not their life. It's not their body. Society always wants to put people in certain groups and make you look like this, make you look like that. That's one of the things wrong with social media. Because if you know, an IG model is an Instagram model.
Yeah.
People who post on Instagram say, oh my goodness, you have to do this diet. You have to work out this way. You have to do this. You have to do that. And that's the one thing wrong with our generation, Gen Z, is that we feel so pressured into having to do a certain way. Oh, Black girls always got to wear the weave.
Well, I don't feel like it's just your generation. That's every generation. You feel that way. I remember growing up, I went, your dad and I went to Skyline High School, and people call Skyline the fashion show school. Yes, they did. And those of you who are Carter folks or whatever, I don't need your extra comments. But they call Skyline fashion school because people wore expensive clothes. And I remember feeling that pressure of having, when Tommy Hilfiger was popular, before we canceled him with his racist self. But when he was popular and the polo boots were popular, and Jordans are always popular, but I remember feeling that pressure, like, oh, I got to get me a Tommy Hilfiger, some Tommy Hilfiger clothes. I got to get me a polo shirt. Back then, really big thing was jeans or khakis with these nice leather polo boots. And we said wear polo shirts, our polo button downs, our Tommy Hilfiger shirts. And I remember, I saved up my money, got me, my best friend and I, we had these cute polo shirts and polo khakis and polo boots, right? And I'm like, oh yeah, I saved up this money. Then this guy was like, you got polo socks on? I'm like, really? Really? No, I have regular socks on. No brand, just regular socks. I'm like, you gotta get you some polo socks. I'm like, what is wrong with y'all? Clothes are always an issue. You want to feel accepted. You want to feel included. You want to feel like you're in fashion, on trend, because at Skyline, that was a big deal. The girls had their hair done like every week, every 2 weeks. These are girls in high school, kept their hair done. And it was a lot of pressure for us too. And our school was majority Black. It was majority Hispanic and Black. We only had a small percentage of white kids, and we still dealt with that pressure. Everybody felt the need to wear a certain thing and dress a certain way and have name brands. That was a big thing at our schools, name brands. And back then, the brands, they had it on the clothes. They weren't as hidden as they are now, unless you talk about Champion or something. But so I dealt with that pressure too. So I can understand where you're coming from, but I didn't have the same pressure you have as far as when it comes to white and Black, because our school was majority Black and Hispanic. And where I grew up, there was not as many white people as I got older, but we always have raised y'all in the suburbs because of the good school districts, and you've always been exposed to more, I feel like, more diversity than I was. And so it's interesting seeing your juxtaposition with how white people dress and Black people dress, and that feeling of not wanting to be looked at as white, trying to act white or trying to act black, and not feeling like you can just be yourself. Have you ever been told that you dress white? Because you dress different. I mean, like you said, you dress different every day. Like you can have the grunge look one day, you can have the retro look one day, you can have the hip hop look one day. And that's one of the things that I love about how you dress. And I try to encourage you to just express yourself. Even if some days I'm like, honey, what are you wearing? Some days I'm like, girl, you are not going out in that. But I try not to do that as much because I don't want to make you not be able to. I want to make sure you are able to express yourself through your clothes and be an individual and not feel like you have to always dress a certain way. But I think it helps too because you have friends that genuine friends that accept you for who you are.
When me and my friends, we are peas in a pod. We do everything together. And it's just like, even I'm just like, one day, I'm just trying to go to school in my Birkenstocks, leggings, and sweatshirt. Like, I'm not feeling it. And technically, that's considered a white look. Or the Birkenstocks is a white look. Like, every race can wear whatever they want. Mm-hmm. And so I walk in, and it's like, why are you dressed like that? I'm like, what do you mean? And it's like, you're dressed white. And I'm just like, I don't care. I'm trying to be comfortable. Mm-hmm. And so it's just like, why is each race claiming clothes? Mm-hmm. If you want to dress a certain way, it's because you feel that way. You shouldn't have to claim clothes just because, oh, you're white, you have to wear this. Oh, you're black, you have to wear this. Doesn't really matter.
No, it doesn't. And I think it's good that you just continue to, do that and be who you are and not succumb to the pressures of society and people and peer pressure to act and conform a certain way. I was that way too. I was rebellious in that way, in that I did not let anyone tell me what they thought I should be. I knew who I was and who I wanted to be. And if somebody told me, well, you should hang out with this person, or you should be going here, or you should be doing this, I was like, for one, you're not my dad, you're not my mom, so you can't tell me what I should be doing. And then two, why would I want to hang out with those people when those are not my friends? My friends are over here. So I want you to always own that and always to just be comfortable being yourself and embracing who God has created you to be. How do you think, though, all of these pressures impact teenagers emotionally, mentally?
I feel like all the pressure, especially off of social media. Nowadays, you got Instagram, Snapchat, Twitter, Facebook, TikTok. And so it's just like, even YouTube. And it's just that people will start to break down mentally.
How
and it's
so?
Just like, because you got all this pressure. Oh, you have to look like this. If you're not on trend right now, oh my God, you're so canceled. And it's just like, this is like, one day this is popping, the next day it's canceled, the next day this is popping. And so just like, you're wasting your money on something that's probably only going to last a week or two. And it's just that you have so much pressure to look the same as everyone else, mm-hmm. and to want to be accepted into society. Mm-hmm. And so I feel like teenagers are just wasting their money and their like brain energy looking at all these other people, looking at all these fashion icons, and looking at all these other celebrities and Instagram famous people, and just wondering why do I look like this? Body shaming themselves, body shaming each other. Mm-hmm. And basically it just starts to break you down.
And how does it break you down?
Because your self-esteem is the thing that, just gives you that extra oomph. When you feel good, you got that confidence, like you got a good outfit on, you got your hair done, and then you just feel that confidence. You feel like the school runway is your runway. You're gonna work it. That's how I feel.
Highway to the runway. Highway to the runway.
And you just feel like, and you're stressed, and then this one person comes up to you and says,
just burst your bubble.
Why are you fat? Why are you so fat? You need to start.
I've been there.
You need to be on a diet. You need to start doing something with your hair. Why does your hair look like that? Why is your hair so curly?
And you think you're cute.
Yeah, you think you're cute. You think you all that. And then you just like.
And they just come to boop,
boop, boop. And it just like.
Pop the ball.
And then you got more people, their friends, like, yeah, oh my gosh, yeah. And it just starts breaking you down. Some people are mentally strong enough to just like, I don't care what you say. But some people aren't. Some people just start getting in that shell. Like a turtle trying to come out and they just start getting in that shell. They go back in the shell. And then they just start breaking down. I know friends like that. And I'm just like, don't listen to them. They are trying to break you down because you look good. You got what they don't have. Don't ever listen to them.
Has anybody ever done that to you before?
I will wear, because I love my flannel shirts.
Yeah.
I love my flannel shirts so much. I think I got that from my grandma. I love my flannel shirts and my boots and my jeans. Yeah. And, I wear tank top. I wear all these different colored tank tops under my flannel shirts. And sometimes when it's hot, I'll tie it around my waist. And because I am more toned in my upper body, like my arms are more toned, more muscular. I guess you would say you wouldn't see a female really that muscular. And so people are like, why are you wearing your shirt like that? You should put your shirt back on. And one, it's 100 degrees outside. I ain't finna put this shirt back on. And for two, why do you care so much? Like, you look like a dude.
Somebody's told you that?
Yes, because I wear my shirt
ready to fight.
And then,
Lord, don't make me come up to school.
No, don't listen. And it's like, a girl doesn't always have to be all dressy. They can be more like, what's the word I'm looking for?
Well, just casual.
More casual and just more just chill. Yeah. I feel comfortable wearing flannel shirts because that's like my thing. That's the thing I wear.
You have a right to have your thing, your style.
It's just that it's funny because those same people saying that next day they come in wearing something that I would wear. Wearing my same style. My retro.
Oh, you see, we used to call that stealing your stilo back in the day. Don't steal my stilo.
They're trying to break you down. That way you don't feel like wearing it anymore. That way they can just claim your style.
They could never, honey. Never. And that's what you need to tell them. When you like, girl, you just mad because you could never. You mad because you could never rock this like me.
And so I'm just like, I don't know you.
So you're saying you don't let it get to you.
Block out the haters.
Yeah.
Block out the haters.
Like a mom.
Talk to the hand.
In a box.
But it's just that it's funny how all the people who come at you is because you got something they don't have.
That's right. Or because they just feel bad about themselves. And one of the things that I've always told y'all when you dealt with bullies or people who aren't nice is sometimes people come to school and they act that way because they're being treated that way at home. Whether it's by an older sibling or a parent, they're being torn down, so they go tear somebody else down or hurt someone else's feelings to try to reclaim their power. And that's one of the reasons why we cannot take that stuff personally and go all introspective and internalize it, because a lot of times, like the saying goes, hurt people hurt people. When you're hurt, you will hurt people because misery loves company. So if I'm hurt, I want other people to be hurt too, like I'm hurt. And so the best thing to do is, like you said, you stand up for yourself, but you let that stuff roll off and you pray for that person because they could be dealing with a lot that you don't know about.
Like when I was little, we learned to rhyme, sticks and stones will break my bones, but words will never hurt me. Every time I get hurt, that's what I just keep thinking about, and it just rolls off.
But you know what? Words do hurt, and words do matter. And we should be aware that words hurt because we were taught that as well. But we should be aware that words hurt so we can be cautious about how we use our words. But at the same time, you have the choice of what to do with those words, right? So either you can take those words and own it and put it in your heart and say, that's me. I'm ugly. I'm not good enough because somebody said that. Or you could toss that away. You could toss it away. The Bible tells us to cast down imaginations, cast down all these ideas that try to exalt itself against the knowledge of Jesus Christ. We are to not allow those things that the enemy says try to exalt itself against what we know Jesus is, who we know Jesus is, and what Jesus has said. And so we have to pull down those high things. That's the scripture, pull down the high things. But it also talks about casting down imaginations. And so we have to make sure that we don't allow things that are not true to begin to become bigger in our heads and in our lives, to where we start to really believe it for ourselves and really believe we're not good enough and really believe we're not worth enough. Don't give people's words so much power. You know, people that you know don't like you, don't matter, don't give their words power. Don't take ownership over what they have told you, because they're just trying to hurt you. And I remember you actually talked to me about, you know, how teens are dealing with depression nowadays. So
Okay, so I did a paper like a few years ago on suicidal, because that's one of the things that touched my heart the most.
Mm-hmm.
Because over the years, suicidal rates in teens have been rising.
Mm-hmm.
And I have many friends that
I'm gonna get some tissue.
Because it just hurts my heart. Because when I find out my friends are starting to hurt themselves, and that I'm one of the reasons that they're alive still, it just makes me just want to just help them so even more than I can already do.
So what do you mean when you said you're one of the reasons why they're still alive?
That, okay, I got like 2 stories, but
well, let's keep it anonymous. Yeah.
My friend, let's just call him Jason.
Mm-hmm.
I've known this dude since the 4th grade. He's like my big brother, even though we're only like 3 months apart. And he, I don't know, we just started wearing all these bracelets. I'm just like, something's not right. I can already see in his face that something's not right. I take his hand, I pull back the bracelets, and there's cuts on his hand. I'm just like, don't start this. I had to sit down. I was hugging him so much, and he was in tears. And I literally had to talk to him for an hour to tell him, don't do this. It's not worth it. It's not worth it. Never do this again. You hear me? I love you way too much. And if you hurt yourself, you're hurting me. Because you're my family. You're like my big brother. We go through everything together. Don't do this. And he started crying because he knew that he was hurting my heart by doing that.
Mm-hmm.
And I had to keep telling him. We were literally rocking back and forth, because it's like, I even say, when you hurt yourself, you're hurting the ones you love the most.
Yeah, that's right. Sometimes though, people hurt themselves because they feel like nobody cares.
But you will always have that one person that will care. A girl, that's Janet.
Mm-hmm.
I was texting her one day. I was like, hey, and she just didn't respond for like 2 hours. And so I decided to call her. And her parents are just like, because I'm one of her closest friends, and her parents are just like, hey, you there? And it's like, yes. And she's like, okay, good, because I need you to stay on the phone with me. And it's like, why? And she's like, she's in the ER. Because she tried to kill herself by drug overdose. And she's in the ER right now. And
her parents were telling you that when you called her?
And you need to talk to her and just like when she's going through it, because she's still alive.
I remember when you told me about that.
And so, because her parents had her phone, and I'm just crying so much, because she literally went through with it. And I'm talking to her once the treatment is over, and she's alive because they give her the charcoal treatment to kill the drugs. Mm-hmm. And I'm talking to her, don't ever do that again. I love you way too much. You are one of the people who can make me laugh whenever I'm feeling down, and you mean so much to me. It's just that when you hurt yourself, you're hurting me. And you are so beautiful. Don't let anyone tell you what you are and aren't. You know what you are. Mm-hmm. So don't listen to what anyone else says. Don't let anyone bother shame you and do nothing, say anything bad about you.
Why did she attempt suicide?
She was really bad depression because people would talk bad about her. She's in my science class, and she has a mental disorder. So she has seen
like
something.
What? She's bipolar.
She had dyslexia.
Oh.
And so I would help her read.
So the learning disorder, not a mental disorder.
And I help her read, and she had depression. So I'm helping her. Even in science, whenever she had to answer a question, because there's this group of dudes, you know, you always got those nut balls in your head.
Yes, Lord.
And they would always make fun of her. And I ain't playing. When you make fun of my friends, it's like you making fun of me. You go to them, you're going to have to go through me first. Okay, and you know, they just be acting stupid. And some of these dudes I've known since elementary school, so I already know how they can be. Yeah. And so she forgot her glasses that day, and there is the, what's it called, periodic table. Yeah. And so our science teacher, he's a coach. So, you know, he don't really get how we are. So it's like he mosey around the dudes. Oh, okay. And so he had her answer a question, and she got it wrong. And they over here acting stupid. Hey, what's 2 + 2? And what's 5? And they're acting stupid, just saying real things. And just she's like, leave me alone. And that's when I go into mama mode. Yeah, Mama Danny, Lord, she been there since you were 2 years old. I go into mama mode. I'm just like, you better stop if you know it's good for you. All right now. And they just stop because they know I don't play. I ain't playing. You come to my friends, I'm going to get you. I'm going to find you. I'm going to make you pay. And so she's over there real sad. Like, she's almost to the point where she's crying. Because I know how it is to be called out in class. Oh, yeah. And it's just like, she already isn't feeling well. She already is mentally, like, she ain't right mentally. Like, she already, like, just broke down. Oh, she just was already struggling emotionally and mentally with depression and stuff. So that kind of added on to everything. And that day, it was just when she just had enough. So that was the day that she attempted suicide, which when she was getting teased. So let that be made clear how serious that stuff is. I know a lot of times we'll have children who think they're comedians and who like making fun of people, and we say, oh, they're just being boys, oh, they're just being kids, but we don't realize how much of an impact that has on people's lives, especially those who are dealing with depression, who are dealing with, I remember as a kid, I was dealing with health conditions, and I used to beg my parents not to have to go back to school after I was out for a long time because I would be teased, and people would, you know, they would pretty much just like ask me, why are you out, and why are you always out of school, why are you always missing school, and they would just simply try to create reasons why they thought I was out of school. And I remember even in middle school someone lying and saying I had AIDS because over a boy, and so people think that that's not a big deal, they're just being kids, but they don't understand how damaging that can be. And that's bullying. To you, it may just be, oh, we just like to tease, we just like to joke. But if you're on someone every day and you are making them upset every day, that is bullying. That's not joning, that's not joking. You are a bully. And as parents, you have to do better with teaching your children what's appropriate and what's inappropriate, and teaching your children that that's not okay. So, like, I remember, because this happened to me before, even, like, remember this year what I told you about on the bus? And so, I remember that. Ain't nobody got no perfect teeth. My teeth, I'm about to get braces. My teeth aren't perfect. And the person who was making fun of me, his hair is okay. And so, and his teeth ain't right either, so I don't know why he's talking. And so, I'm on the bus, I'm sitting next to my best friend. And so we just talking, and then he just decided to get up and yell on the bus and start talking about my teeth day after day after day. And this is the day I had enough. I got up, and because that was the day when, because it was a Friday, that was the day when we were supposed to go to the funeral. Yeah, no, she's talking about
My cousin Vorm was murdered at the beginning of the year in January, and we were about to head to Arkansas that day.
And I remember, I think it was the day before. Yeah, but I had enough because I was already super upset about what happened, just because he was such a good man. But I was already upset, and I know when I come home to be you upset, and then I have to make sure you're okay too.
You don't have to make sure I'm okay.
And I was like, I'm already on the bus, and that's when I just had it. I got up, I just started yelling. I was just like, you know what? I'm done with this. And I was just like yelling. He looked so shocked and everything. I was like, my cousin already did everything. I was like, I already gotta go funeral. You already made me feel more horrible and everything. And then I looked at those faces of people who were especially laughing, and they looked shocked. And I was telling him, you need to be careful what you're saying because you don't know what everyone else is going through at home. People at home already getting abused, getting beat. Or someone just died, like me. And you're making them feel even worse about what you say. That's why you gotta be careful what you say. Because you don't know what anyone else is going through. And just you is adding on to that pressure and making them feel worse.
That's right. So why though, as I remember you told me once you got home about the situation, but why did you wait to tell me when it got to that point? How come you didn't tell me when he first started doing that?
That's because, like, at first you think they're going to stop, and they just keep doing it. I tell him to stop. At that point, apparently he wasn't listening. So that's when I just stood up. I yelled. And everyone just seemed so shocked. Because usually I'm not that type of person to just yell out of nowhere.
Right.
You got to really get down to me. Because I can handle something, but once you get to that striking point, I burst. And that's when I started yelling. I didn't throw no hands because it ain't worth it.
Good. Yeah.
But that's when I just started yelling and telling him, like, just shut up. Shut up. Because they're hella happy anyway. And it's just like, they just do too much. And it's just like, don't start coming for my features unless you are perfect. Unless you're looking like Jesus.
Well, the Bible says Jesus wasn't attractive. And so that shows you how looks don't matter. He was a savior. And it says that there was nothing becoming of him. So he wasn't even that handsome. But yeah, I agree. Like, you have no reason to be coming for me because you ain't cute anyway. But that is a big issue. And you add social media bullying, cyberbullying on top of that. If you have someone who's harassing you at school and then you go home and they're harassing you on social media, that can be extremely overwhelming. So how is your friend doing now?
I still talk to her, obviously. I still make sure she's okay. I still check up on her. She's doing much better. After the advice I tell her, and it's like, just block them out. Whenever I see her getting down, she tells me she's getting down, I tell her, block them out. Don't listen, block them out. She's like, okay, I'll block them out. And because different people have different ways to cope with pain. Many teenagers you will see cope with pain with music. They might write music, they might play music, or they might just listen to music. And so I tell her, turn on the song that makes you appreciate life, that makes you happy.
That's good.
And listen to that on repeat.
Yeah.
Repeat it over and over.
Until you feel it.
Until you feel it. But
now I remember us having a discussion one time, and you kind of had your own breakdown moment because you were feeling overwhelmed by how your friends come to you with their problems. And I was telling you, giving you some advice on how to cope with that, about not trying to be the savior all the time, right? You can't fix their life. You can't fix their problems. You can be there to support them, encourage them, give them advice, but you cannot emotionally and physically take on people's problems. So how have you been doing with managing that?
So I tell them, like, I'm kind of like the counselor of the friend group.
Yeah,
I'm the person that gives out advice. Like, I'm the counselor and the mama bird. Like, if you don't got no food, I will get you some food.
And
it's just that
we know that from our from the lunch account. We were like, Danielle, where are these extra charges coming from?
Some husbands don't just got the money.
Yeah, which I can understand that. That's why I told you. I said, well, you let us know in advance, I'll give you some extra money to pay for your friends, or let us know what's going on. So after we clarified that, it was fine.
Yeah, but it's just that I give them advice like to the point where it's just like I give them advice that they can do and that I don't have to do it. So where it's something that they can do themselves, and whenever they feel bad, they can do it. And I just
like what, like listening to the music.
Yeah, and it's just that if I have to intervene, I will intervene. But they don't. Usually, they don't get to the point where that has to happen.
What do you mean intervene?
So, like, whenever they just, depression is common among teens. Like, because of everything that's happening now, you will have a lot of times. But if we have to meet up somewhere or we have to talk face to face, I will make it happen somehow. But it's just that I find ways to where they do something they love to make them appreciate life more. Because you got people that can't even wake up the next morning. And so I'll tell her or them, I'll just like pray. Just thank God for waking you up. Because you could have been gone like that, but He wanted you to stay. And so while you're thinking about taking your life, you should think more about what you're grateful for.
That's good advice, Danielle. I actually tell clients that one of the things that we do is, have a journal, and every day think of 2 things you're grateful for, because it's easy to focus on everything that's going wrong, but we have to be just as intentional at looking at the things that are going right and the good things in our life, so that we can really see there are good things, and so that's great advice. Have you ever felt depressed?
Many times, but that's when I pray. I call on Jesus because I know He will help me. And it's just like, even when I feel depressed and I pray or I do something that makes me happy, I love to read. I'm a bookworm. I love to read so much. I will just do that, and I just feel like this wave of just calm, just to come over me. I'll just be like, just calm. Or sometimes, like, you just gotta have that good cry.
Yeah,
sometimes you just need that good cry.
You have to cry it out.
And you could just cry yourself to sleep, but in the morning you will feel better.
And that's the thing to remember, that what you're feeling now won't last forever. And you can't make a permanent decision off of a temporary situation. So I don't want to try to kill myself, which is a permanent decision, off of a temporary situation, being bullied. This won't last forever. I think it's important too to understand that some things aren't depression. Sometimes it's just a sad day, Depression, when we talk about depression is like debilitating, which means it's so bad it's hard for you to function. It makes you feel so sad, so down, so heavy, you can't even get out of bed. But all of us have bad days. All of us have sad days, frustrating days, days where we're feeling a bit hopeless. And that's not necessarily depression, it's just a rough day. And so I think it's important as you talk to your friends to help them identify, well, this might not be depression, it just might be a rough day. Let's look at it from what it is. That way it doesn't seem so big. Because when we use the word depression, it makes us feel almost like this is a chronic situation that I can't get away from. But sometimes it's just a rough day, and I'm going to help you through this rough day.
This is something also, it's like, you got to be able to spot depression. Because I always tell people, like, if you see that your friends depressed, or even parents, being locked up in your room, that's just a teenager thing.
Right.
You just want your own personal space because you got people getting on your nerves. That's just a teenager thing. That's not depression. So.
Right.
But if you see someone change the complete way they act, and you see them just not themselves, and they won't tell you, especially teenagers, we like keeping things to ourselves. We like, we don't like expressing our feelings, especially to adults sometimes. But if you're a parent, you need to intervene. You need to get a hold of their best friend or somehow and say, hey, did you notice her changing any different lately? Has anything happened lately?
So you said if your teen, make sure you talk loud too so that they can hear you. But you're saying if you can't, your teen won't talk to you, they should try talking to their best friend.
Yes, or like get a hold of their best friend parents and get their best friend on the phone because it's their best friend. They're gonna know everything about that person.
Right.
And so if you have to get to that point, you need to talk to their best friend. Your child may be mad at you for a while, but they're gonna thank you later.
Yeah.
Because what you're doing right now could possibly save their life.
So what do you say to a parent who's like can't get their child to talk to them and they don't know who the best friend is, or they can't get in contact with the best friend? Like, how do you get your child? Because I've heard, we've never had that issue, but I've heard some parents, their teens don't talk to them. They don't tell them about the things that they're going through. Like, I don't know everything in your life. I don't want to know. I don't want to know. But we do talk about deep things, and we do, like when your friend had attempted suicide and things like that. We talk about, I know who your friends are. But what about those parents who can't connect with their teenagers?
It's about trust and respect. I don't like, especially when they say respect your elders. I say you give respect, you get respect. If you giving your respect to your parents, they gonna respect you. If you gotta like trust each other, especially with a parent and a child, you gotta build up that trust. If you don't build up that trust and something bad happens, how you supposed to know? Because you don't know anything.
Mm-hmm.
So you just gotta build up that trust with your child, and especially about not judging and just listening. Because they could just go through a lot of things, and then sometimes you just need that time to rant.
Yeah,
You need to be able to
true.
rant
That's
about
true.
on something, and one of your parents is one of the best places to rant to, because they know more, they're wise.
Oh my God! I'm glad I got this on film. I think I'm gonna clip that part and just replay it for you. They know more. They're wise. They know more. They're wise.
But at the same time, they could have went through the same thing you're going through. And so it's just building up that trust and just learning to trust and respect each other and just to listen. Because if you rearrange the words and listen, it's silent.
Mm.
And
Look
so,
at her trying to be all philosophical
that's
and
one of the
everything.
posters in my teacher's room. I just
She took it like it was hers.
I just kept that with me. It's just that listen also means silent. That's one of the reasons that my friends go to me is because I won't say anything. I'll just listen.
Yeah.
Then I'll give advice.
That's very true.
Because if you're just so quick to talk, how you supposed to know the full story?
That's right. The Bible tells us be slow to speak and quick to hear. And so that's very good. That's really good. I want to say too, just be cautious giving advice to your friends, because you tell them something to do something that doesn't go right, they're gonna come back and blame you.
That's why
Yeah, you told me.
I don't give them like super advice. I don't say, "Oh, go slash his tires." Like, no.
Oh Lord.
I just like
Hope not.
it's more something like more mentally, just to calm them down mentally, than do something more physically. I ain't gonna tell you to go hug your enemy if you don't like. I guess in the Bible they say be nice to your enemy, but you don't gotta be all buddy with them.
Yeah, you have to be wise now.
And so it's just that just building that relationship and building that trust will get you farther in the relationship that you want. It's gonna take time. You will have those times where you messed up, but it's all about apologizing and coming back.
Yeah.
Cause like even like teenagers, they sometimes feel that sometimes your parents don't get you. They'll sometimes feel that, oh, they don't know, they don't get me, they don't know how I work and everything.
Yeah, I hear you say that to me all the time. You don't get it, Mom.
But because you'll have that time to your best friend, you're like, yes, that's exactly how I feel.
But you're supposed to.
Yeah.
You're the same age.
That's what I also got to realize, because you're an adult and I'm a teenager. So, of course, we're going to have different perspectives. But you can come to a compromise. You can agree to disagree. As long as you're talking to each other, it will change your life.
Yeah, because, I mean, I don't feel like you get me. You know, as teenagers, when you're a teen, everything in your world is a big deal. But when you're an adult and you're trying to take care of a family and you have all these other things going on, teens don't understand that, you know. And so we both, like you said, to be patient with each other and try to see each other's perspective. And I had to try to sometimes remember what it was like for me being 14. And I remember having that conversation with your dad and saying, babe, like, come on, you know how we were at 14. Let's be real. And that's why I've kind of pulled back a little bit, because I'm trying to be realistic about what I was doing or what I was going through at your age.
And I also have to remember, you're a mother at 3. And you just you have so much going on, especially with you being a pastor, that I got to remember, oh, this ain't that big of a deal. It's not going to end my world. Or just that some things that I had to sometimes help you out. Mm-hmm. I sometimes had to help.
She cooked last night for her siblings. She made some baked tilapia and some wild rice, and it was delicious. And I was like, thank you, Danielle. That was very thoughtful, because I told him I'm not cooking dinner tonight.
So I'll cook.
That was really sweet, though.
But it's just sad, because you have so much going on. So sometimes I just got to step up. And then sometimes I just got to make them say, go outside.
Yeah.
When CJ be allowed, go outside.
Yeah.
But it's just that we got to see each other's perspective. Because, team, we're all up in our own world thinking, oh my, if something wrong happens, oh my God, it's the end of the world. What am I going to do? No, it's not. Mm-hmm. It's really not. If you don't get these certain pair of jeans, it's not the end of the world. You're not going to die.
I'm so glad I have this on video.
But it's just that.
But you're maturing. Yeah. You're growing up. Like, between 13 and 14, the way you see the world and the way you see life is so different than how it was even just a year ago, when everything was a big deal. It's almost like, I think too, though, when you look at the pandemic and you look at what's going on racially in the world, there's so many big issues that you're realizing how small some of your teen issues are.
Like, you got, you're doing this one thing, and then you realize that the world, and then you just hear rioting. Like, jeans and rioting's bigger, obviously.
Right.
So you just need to really just get your head out of the clouds and just realize what is actually going on.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for joining me, Danielle, my baby. I'm so proud of you. You did a great job. We're rocking some pretty powerful apparel. She has on a Above Average shirt, and I have on Let That Woman Preach. So you can grab those via Facebook. Make sure you are following and you have subscribed to my YouTube channel, Pretty and Powerful. You have subscribed to my podcast on Spotify, on Google Podcasts, on Apple Podcasts, and also make sure you like and follow the Ree Eddington Enterprise page on Facebook and on Instagram. Thank you for joining us once again. I pray that this podcast was a blessing to you, that it was helpful to you, that it helps you to better communicate with your teenager. And don't forget, you don't have to choose. You can be both pretty and powerful. I will talk to you later. Bye.